The shape of illusion. We live in a world shaped by form. We see solid things, defined edges, familiar shapes, and we trust what we see. A tree, a building, a person's face. But what if these forms, though useful, are only the surface? Beneath what we touch and see lies something deeper, something alive, ever-shifting, and less obvious. Illusion isn't about fantasy. It's about mistaking the visible for the whole. We forget that behind every object is energy, behind every name is a mystery, and behind every identity is something fluid and changing. When we take form as absolute, we build walls where there could be windows. And if we soften our gaze, the illusion begins to dissolve. And then we glimpse the substance, not just in the world, but in ourselves. The part of us that isn't a role or a title, but simply being. The quiet space between things. We're trained to notice things, objects, outcomes, identities. But rarely do we notice what's between them, the space between words, the pause before a breath, the silence after a thought. And yet these spaces hold a quiet kind of truth. They're not empty, they're alive. In those still places, the illusion of form begins to loosen. What if what truly matters isn't the shape of the thing, but the space it arises from? Like music born from silence, or light emerging from darkness, the most meaningful moments often live in what we overlook. Substance reveals itself not just in doing, but in being. The pause is not a break from life. It is life unmasked. When we begin to honor the space between, we begin to feel what's real. And in that stillness, we reconnect with something whole. The disappearing self. We often think of the self as fixed, something we can define, protect, even improve. But what if the self is more like a river than a stone, flowing, shifting, changing shape with each new moment? We say, "This is who I am," but beneath those words is a quiet truth. We are not the story we tell. We are the awareness watching the story unfold. The more tightly we cling to labels, success, failure, identity, the more we suffer when they inevitably change. But when we release the grip, something lighter emerges. Not emptiness, but freedom. A self that doesn't need to be anything more than present. The disappearing self isn't a loss, it's a return. A remembering. You're not what you seem. You're something deeper, something spacious, kind, and quietly eternal. The illusion of control. We like to believe we're in control, that if we plan enough, work hard enough, think things through, everything will go our way. But life has its own rhythm. It moves through seasons, surprises, and silent shifts we can't always predict. Control is comforting, but it's often an illusion. The tighter we hold on, the more anxious we become. But what if letting go doesn't mean giving up? What if surrender is a kind of wisdom? When we loosen our grip, we make space for life to move through us, not just around us. We begin to flow instead of resist. And in that flow, we discover something true. Peace isn't found in control, it's found in trust. In knowing that even when things fall apart, we remain open, grounded, whole. Seeing without naming. From the moment we're born, we're taught to name everything. Tree, sky, love, fear. Naming helps us navigate the world, but it also limits how we experience it. Once we name something, we stop seeing it fully. The tree becomes just a tree, and we miss its stillness, its quiet strength. Its dance in the wind. Words are shortcuts, but reality is not a shortcut. To see what's real, we must sometimes set language aside, look without naming, feel without labeling, be without defining. It's there, in that raw presence, that the illusion of form begins to fade. Everything becomes more vivid, more alive. And in that space, we rediscover the world not as a set of things, but as a living mystery, not to be figured out, but to be experienced with wonder. What remains when all else falls away? Life changes, roles shift, possessions come and go, bodies age, identities evolve, and when something we relied on disappears, we often feel lost. But have you ever asked, what remains when all else falls away? There's a part of you untouched by time, untouched by loss. It doesn't depend on status or success. It isn't altered by praise or blame. It's the awareness behind your experiences, the stillness beneath the movement. That presence has always been there, quietly witnessing each chapter of your life. When we stop clinging to the outer forms, we begin to recognize this deeper stability, a kind of truth that doesn't fade. The substance beneath the illusion isn't loud or flashy, but it's real, and it's enough. It's what holds you when everything else slips through your fingers. The mirror of the moment. Each moment is a mirror. It reflects who we are, not always as we wish to be seen, but as we truly are. Our thoughts, our reactions, our attention, they all reveal what we carry within. When we rush, resist, or judge, we miss the message. But when we pause and pay attention, every moment becomes a teacher, a silent invitation to return to what's real. We spend so much time seeking truth elsewhere, in books, beliefs, other people's words. But what if the moment you're in is already speaking truth? Through a quiet breeze, a sharp ache, a kind word. Even discomfort can reveal what's waiting to be healed. The illusion is that truth is far away. The substance is that it's always right here, beneath our resistance, within our presence. All we have to do is look. The silence that speaks. We often fill silence with noise, words, thoughts, distractions. Silence can feel uncomfortable, even empty. But true silence isn't void. It's full. It holds depth, presence, clarity. It doesn't speak in language, but it communicates something essential. In silence, the illusion of constant doing begins to fall away, and what's underneath comes into view. We begin to hear what's been drowned out, our intuition, our pain, our peace. Silence is not the absence of meaning. It's the doorway to it. It invites us to listen more closely, to feel more deeply, and to know ourselves more honestly. In a world obsessed with sound and form, silence brings us back to substance. It reconnects us to the still place within, the one untouched by chaos. If you sit with it long enough, silence begins to speak, and what it says is often more real than any word. The beauty that doesn't fade. We chase beauty in many forms: youth, style, success, admiration. But these kinds of beauty fade, change, or disappear. And when they do, we're left wondering what remains. But there is another kind of beauty, one that grows deeper with time. It lives not in appearances, but in presence, in kindness, in quiet strength, in how deeply someone listens, in how gently they love. This beauty doesn't shout. It doesn't ask for validation. It simply is. When we stop chasing what's shiny and start noticing what's real, we begin to see this deeper beauty in ourselves and others. It's not something to gain. It's something to remember, to uncover. This beauty isn't about being seen. It's about seeing. And once you see it, even the most ordinary moments become luminous. The fear behind the form. Much of what we cling to, titles, routines, possessions, stems from a quiet fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of not being enough. Fear of vanishing without mattering. So we build around us a structure of form, hoping it will protect us. But the more we fear, the more we hide behind the illusion. We perform, we perfect, we pretend. Yet the truth is this: fear begins to lose its grip when we stop running from it. When we gently turn toward it, we see it's just another veil, and beneath it, vulnerability. And beneath that, aliveness. The moment we stop needing to be something solid, we become something true. The substance beneath isn't afraid. It's spacious, open, accepting. It doesn't need to prove. It just is. And when we meet our fear with honesty, we uncover a courage that doesn't roar, but simply stands. The unity beyond form. When we look at the world through the lens of form, we see separation. Here is a person, there is a mountain, over there is a tree. We categorize and divide, building boundaries between us and everything else. But beneath the surface of these distinctions, there is a deep unity. Every being, every object, every moment is connected. The boundaries we perceive are not the truth. They are constructs of the mind. What if we could see with eyes that knew no separation? What if we could sense the thread that ties us to everything around us? In the stillness, there's an awareness that transcends form, one that knows we are all part of a greater whole. To touch this unity is to realize that the substance of existence isn't in things, it's in the space between them. And in that space, we are one. The eternal flow. At the heart of the illusion of form is the truth of impermanence. Everything we know, our bodies, our thoughts, our experiences, shifts and fades. But beneath the ebb and flow of change, there is an eternal current. This flow is the substance beneath the illusion. It is life itself, ever moving, never stagnant, yet always present. We may lose the form, but we never lose the flow. It's the rhythm that connects all things, the pulse of the universe, the beat of our hearts, the cycle of breath. When we stop identifying with form and start attuning ourselves to the flow, we find peace. We realize that even in the midst of change, there is a constant. The substance beneath the illusion isn't static. It's dynamic, alive, and ever expanding. To surrender to this flow is to embrace the truth of who we are and always have been.